Welcome to Guys How It's All About the Journey, the podcast. Today we have Ashley Bolling.
Hello, hello.
The owner of Closet Freaks. We're here to talk about her store, her journey, how she got to success. So how you doing today?
What's up? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
I'm
how
doing
about yourself?
perfectly splendid.
So we got to get right into it. I know you're from Newport.
I am.
How long was you living out there before you came to Florida?
12.
12.
Yes.
So you got here when you was 12.
Yes.
How did you like it when you got down here?
Well, I moved to Jacksonville, so it's very hard. It was a very hard transition.
It was very hard. Why is that?
Because Jacksonville had a very strict culture, as far as they could tell when you're not from there. I will just say that. So a lot less people migrate there like they do here to Orlando. So Orlando's kind of more of a mixing pot. So it's a very hard stop.
So you got there at 12. Then what age did you get to Orlando?
When I was 18, I came to college here.
Oh, UCF.
UCF, go Knights.
Okay. And when you were going to college here, what'd you do at UCF?
I ran track and field. That's how I came here.
Athlete, huh?
Yes.
You a sprinter?
Big D1 vibes. Well, in high school, I was a sprinter and a jumper, and then I hurdled my last 2 years. And I actually got recruited for hurdling because it was the hardest, craziest event. So. And
when you got to UCF, what was that like?
UCF,
what was Orlando like compared to Jacksonville?
Well, Orlando was a blast. UCF was an absolute blast. I was coming in right around the time where all the athletic programs were shifting, and I came in with a new coach from California, or from Texas. She went to California now. So we had a lot of new athletes from track to football to basketball where their programs were changing. So it made it a blast to meet so many new people from all over the country, so many highly decorated athletes coming into college. So yeah, it was a blast. I had a great time.
A lot of partying?
My coach was very strict. She was like a drill sergeant strict. And we had an all-girls team. So what I will say is, yes, for me, I was very social very early, and that caused a lot of friction with my coach and I.
Partying, hanging out when you're supposed to be training or something like that.
Well,
I was a college athlete too, so I know.
I considered it networking.
Networking. That's a good way to say it. I wish I would have used that back in the day. Networking.
Yes, but even then, as much as I love track and athletics, I knew that I wasn't going to be doing it after college. I had already known that going into college. So, yeah, I focused on it because I commit to anything I do. But I also definitely had the peripheral to know I needed to expand myself a bit beyond just what the track could offer. And
then what year did you graduate UCF?
2012.
Class of 2012. I was done 2013.
Okay.
So after UCF, what was your next venture after that?
I went straight into the military.
What made you go from track and field straight to the military? What was that trend? Was that because of the drill sergeant coach? What was going on?
She made it easy.
She made it a little easier for that decision?
Yes, so I have...
Was she in the military or something?
No, she wasn't. So I don't know where she learned that from.
Oh, okay.
She was... But, so my dad is in the military. 2 of my brothers were already in the military. So I was used to, performing at a high level. I was used to conditioning and training, and that's kind of the mental construct I use for business or anything. So instead of going into like coaching or doing something else within the sport, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get into next, but I figured I can go into the military because I can do that lifestyle every day. It's pretty much the same.
I know about it. My brother was in the Marines, so, got some family members that was in the Marines. But being in the military for 5 years, what parts of the world did it take you?
So the ironic part about me is I didn't have to go anywhere.
You didn't have to go anywhere?
I didn't have to go anywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere I traveled was for fun. So I went to Korea a few times because my brothers were there. I pretty much visited wherever my brothers were. I visited them, but not on military orders.
Same brothers. We forgot to even talk about family. Talk about the family. How many brothers, sisters you got? Talk about.
I have 3 brothers.
3 brothers and any sisters? So you the only girl.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How
I
else
see.
does it need to be?
Yeah, I guess just you and your mother, I guess. But so Korea, anywhere else you want to name that you went?
Qatar.
Qatar.
Qatar is somewhere over by Dubai. Most people probably don't know where Dubai is. Outside of that, everywhere else was just around the country.
And all of those, which one was the longest flight?
Korea is a long flight. I mean, I don't like any flight longer than 2 hours, though. So
the way you be traveling, you don't like any flights over 2 hours.
I don't. I'd be ready to
man.
get out off the flight like 2 hours. I'll do the LA flight, obviously, but yeah, that's
I'm
the
used to
extent. That's the extent for me.
Okay, then. Now you did 5 years in the military. You came back to Orlando.
Yes.
Okay, and you got into fashion. It seems like at that point, or were you already in it before that?
So I had already had a business doing other things before I left for basic training.
Okay.
And then eventually I got assigned to a unit here, and I was able to work out of there as an instructor. So I took this opportunity from one of my classes, one of the courses that I went to, and that the person who did that course submitted my name to become an instructor, which is really, it's a cool job, but it's a rare job. And so I took that so that they could allow me the opportunity to create my own schedule. Mm-hmm. And so because I knew my schedule for the year, I was able to start my own business. And I started it probably about 2 years in. That's when I started Closet Freaks. And then as Closet Freaks started growing and I went into my second brick and mortar downtown, I was like, I got to get out of the Army because they were trying to deploy me at the time. I
got a little scared.
No.
If you was getting deployed, where were you supposed to go?
We were gonna go back to Qatar. We were gonna go. Yeah, there was some things going on where there was some still active deployments going on, and I was making so much more money with my store, and I went into the Army already ranked because I had a degree and
right.
I was athletic. So I always I did well. And those type of soldiers, they like you to take leadership positions. Like it's frowned upon to be decorated a certain way and to not deploy because they want you to lead a deployment.
Okay, that's where you get all the leadership from. Okay.
Yes.
So
I let myself out of that deployment.
You had to.
Army.
So now when you did that part, where was when Closet Freaks started taking off, I seen you kind of shifted a lot of places and locations around the city. Where'd you start off at?
Well, I started off in East Orlando.
Okay.
Not far from here.
All right.
And
where exactly?
Off of Forsyth. And if people know Closet Freaks from off the Forsyth, they have been around.
Oh, that's how far they go back.
Yes, because I used to run parties there on the weekends.
Wow.
And I make money from throwing parties too. So
look at you.
Oh yeah.
You're a little promoter and all.
No. What I am,
What
I am has always been on my business.
Okay.
And that's the one thing that translates across everything I do.
Right.
It's business over everything.
I understand that. So you was on Forsyth. Then what was the next spot after that?
Downtown Orlando.
How was that like? You went from Forsyth to downtown.
That was like a shift in a lot of different areas because I also moved downtown for the first time. And yeah, that was high-rise life. That was party life. That was business life.
Overhead a little higher life.
Yes, overhead for real. I mean, I had a decent size overhead when I was on Forsyth, but I was doing other things out of it. So it didn't matter. So when I got downtown, it was retail only. Very hard to get down there at the time. We got denied a couple of times. I had to pull some strings, talk to some political contacts that I had at the time, and it was good experience at the time too. There was all of these. The mayor was giving us all these decorations because it was like the first woman-owned business down there that was black-owned and like the youngest at the time. Like there was
Wait a minute. So you was the first what now?
the youngest owner, and then the youngest woman, and then
the youngest,
at the time, the only black business down there. It was a lot. It was a lot of pressure.
Okay. How was that felt like? You were scared?
I will never be scared.
Okay,
so
then.
we could just take that out of our vocabulary.
I gotta ask.
No, but it's the first time that you start realizing that, like, one day you're just doing your own thing, right? And like you're just used to doing your own thing, and then one day you look up and people are like, hey, people are watching you. And
gaining traction now.
Yeah, but even gaining traction, I was always doing that. It was like once you become aware that people are watching you, it becomes a different level of pressure because you want to set a good example. So now you're thinking about, well, if you're a good, decent person, if you don't care, then you don't care. But at the time, that was the first time that I really understood that, oh, that's what that means. Like, you can't just be out here doing anything any kind of way. You have to manage business a certain way. You have to manage how you communicate a certain way because people are watching how you do it and they're learning from that. Like, it's not just they're just watching you. Like,
you already know how it is for black women. It's already hard enough out here for y'all.
Is it though?
I mean, that's what they say, man. It's the hardest.
They? Is this white people saying this about black women?
I don't know. I'm just saying, y'all got. It's just. It feels like the tables is always against y'all. Like it is for all of us.
I would never say that about my experience. So? No.
Not yours, but others sometimes.
Definitely for, I know enough black men, yes, who have this issue. But I cannot just say that blanketly. So I'm not gonna agree with that. But
Okay. So you was at downtown after that, where? You was
Florida Mall.
So you at all the hot spots in the city, downtown, Florida Mall.
Anywhere where there's anywhere to be.
How was
I
the
tested
Florida
the market?
How was the Florida Mall experience?
Florida Mall was so much fun. It was so stressful. It was very stressful, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay, talk about the stressful part.
It was stressful because, we had, so it was the first time that I had to operate my store like a real store instead of a boutique. And the difference is with the boutique, you control the traction.
Right.
Whenever we posted or whenever we, created the traction, we could get our sales and then we could just chill. In the malls, it's different. You have to have product every day. You have to open 7 days a week. You have to open during their hours. You can't sell out. You can't even sell certain things that other competitors are selling. It's a lot more nuance to it.
It's rules.
No, it's rules. It's levels. It's levels. And so our first week there, we sold like 2/3 of our inventory in like 2 days. And so, I had no way of knowing that was going to be a thing, but it was a thing. And we weren't prepared. We were just not prepared.
So what do they do if you lose inventory or something, or you're not always stocked? Is there like a fine, or what they doing?
Well, I was gonna talk my way out of any fine, but the main concern is, as a business owner, is getting it to where it needed to be. So at that point, we went from just needing inventory to me having to scale up the logistics and my vendors of how we were getting inventory, how quickly we were processing it, how many staff members we were going to have. The levels of business shifted. And so I just had to rise to the occasion. And so that's why it was stressful for me. Now, no one else would probably say that. None of the staff, none of the customers. People still talk about Florida Mall who come here now. So I would say I was probably the only person who knew how stressful that was. But that's part of the game.
So I'm pretty sure at that time when you was in the Florida Mall, you had to like tighten up with getting more vendors, learning how to bring it in a lot faster because you always had to say stock. So
and you can't close. It's not like I could close for a week while we got it done. They would be on the floor processing stuff while people were going through it. Like, can I have this?
Wow.
It was hilarious.
Okay,
it was fun.
And then after the Florida Mall, I'm pretty sure you shifted towards the outlets, I think that was?
Yes.
Another hot spot in the city?
Absolutely.
Jesus, Closet Freaks done been everywhere.
Yeah, I'll tell you why in a minute. But so part of going to the outlet was, well, one, I wanted a break for a second. Like when our contract was ending there at Florida Mall, instead of trying to re-sign or anything like that, I was just like, we need a breather because we made it out of there by the skin of my teeth. And so I was like, the next time we go ahead and set up, we have to I have to make sure things are, because at this point I know what I'm doing, a bit differently. So took some time, and people started blowing up the Florida Mall, like asking where we were, to the point where they were calling. The outlet was calling because that's owned by the same company.
Okay.
And so someone reached out to me from the outlet about going out there. And I was like, no, we're not going to do it. Not right now. And I put it off for a little bit until
What made you put it off?
Because I wanted to get my business together.
Okay.
I mean, there was just things that we just couldn't do again. So, yeah, you just level up and you just start getting smarter about things, and you start changing the way you move so that things can operate a certain way, because you don't have the luxury to be a black-owned business in those type of spaces. You are either, you're next to Marc Jacobs, you're next to Michael Kors, you're next to Forever 21, and they can't cry, it's just me. They can't cry
exactly.
that. And when those people give you leases, there was no other independent store in Florida Mall when I went in there. There was no other there was no other single owner in there. So besides me.
Okay. Dang.
At the time, so they leveraged the opportunity. I had to pitch to get in. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they're just like, can I come in here? Like, I had to pitch. I had to show them like what our store looks like. I had to give them a vision. I had to sell it, and they had to sell it to their corporate, and it got approved, and that's how we did it. So the last thing I could do was handle my business poorly, because I would have never gotten another opportunity to be in a mall, owned by.
At the times you were scared when you was in there, like it was getting kind of shifty.
No, I never felt like that. I just felt like you just get in times. I mean, you said you were an athlete, right?
Yes.
You get in times when you're in the mode where you need more training.
Right.
So it's not that you're not doing well. Like, you're performing, but you know that you've got to go harder to perform.
You got to do a little better,
and
yeah.
So that was where I was like, okay, there's a level to this game, and I'm competing for boutiques, but I'm not competing for like national brands. And so I've got to step my knowledge up, my understanding of what I'm doing up, so that my company can compete nationally if we're going to be doing stores in malls and outlets. So,
and I seen something about trying to open something in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
What happened with that whole venture?
Well, so while we were doing the outlet, so I have good relationships now, obviously, with Simon, because we were also one of their first.
And Simon is the company that
owns a lot of the malls that you go to.
All right.
So they have about 260 properties internationally or nationally, and then about 100 and something internationally. So at the time, I was talking to their VP of leasing, because they didn't have anything else in their portfolio at the time that was vintage or sustainable. It was a new concept to them. They were horrified of it.
And that's why you went with it? You were been doing vintage?
Yeah, I was already
at
doing
all the
vintage,
spots.
But vintage in a mall, they're horrified of it because of all the liability. So they were trying to pitch this concept for me to do multiple locations and test out a few different locations across their portfolio. And Toronto was one of the ones on the list. And so for months, we considered adding that with a couple other spaces and doing a deal to do all of them. And I ended up turning around the model that I wanted to use, and so we just didn't go. I mean, we kind of just put that on ice, and I haven't revisited it since, because I decided on another model that I felt like was going to work better, that wasn't going to pigeonhole us with a certain company, and then we couldn't, we'd be stuck.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So here at your store now, after that, you ended up coming back to the east side, right?
Yes.
Back to Alafaya, where we at now at Closet Freaks. So I see you still helping UCF students.
Forever. It's a forever thing.
Oh, it's a forever thing. Okay, so how are you helping the students?
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on...
I heard it was like an internship or something that you're doing for them. Explain that. Or
who's telling you our information? I'm kidding. So over the years, I've done several internship programs with UCF and with the Full Sail, Valencia, any and everybody. So we've done them for creative students that are interested in creative careers. And in creative careers, it's usually around fashion, styling, sewing, things where you typically would have to get booked. And we were trying to just offer positions where you could work full-time or part-time to full-time. And
be flexible with their schedules as students, pretty much.
Right, but still also do what you do, but just do it for hourly. And so we kind of molded a lot of our roles and positions to be able to fit students or graduates or people that weren't in school who were looking for positions in those careers while they're pursuing that career to still have a position they can work at more regularly.
Oh, how long you been doing that again?
Really since the first location I had. But
it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. But I've done multiple stuff with Career Source and partnering with the, Florida and the city of Orlando. So we continue to usually be actively within some type of internship program with whoever is the best fit at the time.
Now you've jumped to a lot of different spots, a lot of different locations. How do you find the loyal employees to stick with you and ride it out with you? Because you've been moving around a lot, so you've been all over. How do you find employees? How do you look for that? What are you looking for? What do you look into people when you're doing that search?
Well, I'm a horrible interviewer.
Interviewer? Okay. What is that?
No, I'm kidding. But so we have two different sides of what the business is, right? And so a lot of the times you can't always look at a business and know what that business is doing. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the owner. But in the type of business I'm in, everything you do is for a reason. It may not be the reason that it looks like, but it's always for a reason, right? And so the difference between a small business and a startup is a small business is looking to build consistency and success over a long period of time, whereas a startup is disruptive. They're looking to gain as much insight as fast as possible and then scale as quickly as possible, and it's very revenue driven, right? So when you say things like, well, it seemed like you jumped around a lot, for a small business that might look crazy if you're looking for consistency over time. For a startup, that's brilliant. You test every market as quick as possible. You get the information, you get out, you make your next move. And so when it comes to staff and employees and a team, you have an internal staff who knows what the hell is going on.
Right.
So they know the short and long term. So the roles may change, the location may change, what we're doing today or testing tomorrow may change, but that's irrelevant to them because they understand what's going on internally with the company. Then you fill the other positions with people looking for opportunities to make money, and you just leverage their skill and hope that their skills, can help benefit the company short term. And so we do a lot of temp hiring, where it's for 3 months at a time, 4 months at a time, 6 months at a time. And then we allow the employees that are with us internally, obviously, to take on roles as we move and grow.
Okay. Now, you've been moving around. What mistakes have you said you made that you regret, or you would do over, or you would help to the next person that's trying to do what you're doing?
Well, I was about to say I don't make mistakes.
God, that's that military mindset right there.
Well, what I will say is I've been knowing what I was up to for a very long time. It didn't just occur to me one day what my goals were. So, so nothing has ever seemed off to me, even though I don't, you may take the shot, off the dribble or off balance. It doesn't mean you didn't plan to shoot. And so all I can say is the best thing I've done for myself is to not dwell on how something came out, but just dwell on the fact that it got executed. And I'm not a dweller. So once I execute the move, that's that. We move on. What I would say to someone else that's just trying to do whatever their thing is, stay in your lane and establish for you what your goals are. And then you can block out anything else that's not that. And it won't matter how it looks to other people, because you're on point and you're on schedule. So, and then give yourself compassion to make mistakes. Like, who's going to check you? No one is in your head to know what you're doing. So as long as you do right by people and you communicate effectively when you've done your best and you've come up short, like, I mean, you're only living one life. So how you can't really do anything again. You can just do it better. You know what I mean? So
Right. And how do you find that motivation every day? What keeps you motivated? Like, what do you seem like you always, happy and stuff? What keeps you motivated?
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here every day.
Seeing your own stuff, knowing you working for yourself and all of that.
Yeah, I'm just happy about it. I'm excited about whatever I have up my sleeve, even if I don't know what it is. But my eyes open, and I'm just like, I'm happy to be here. Like, I'm excited to turn up in whatever way. Who
would you say was like a mentor for you growing, or who'd you turn to for advice when you was going through everything that you were going through? Who's the people you look up to?
I have a lot of really, really supportive mentors. Most of them are in professional field or in business or finance or venture capital, which is in the realm of where I spend a lot of my time and design. A lot of what I do, my company around is, like I said, more of a startup-based style company. So most of the people who I'm talking to on a regular basis are people who have made millions and millions and millions of dollars buying and selling businesses and patents and those type of things. So their pressure, they'll always have had more pressure than me because their numbers are always higher no matter what I'm doing. So I find comfort in just talking to people who have done stuff before, and then people who also, you'll find that people who have the most pressure typically have the best tools to be the most relaxed. And so, they will always make me feel less high-strung about making $1 billion mistake, than a few $100,000 mistake or $1,000 mistake. I mean, either way, the stakes go up, but the tools are the same.
I know you like to travel a lot, even though you don't like to fly past 2 hours.
I don't know if I like to travel a lot. I just feel like I have a lot of different places
to be. I get it. I mean, that's kind of,
Like, it's not like I'm sitting here like, dang, where can I travel to next? It's not like that.
No, you're staying busy. You don't see yourself, when you travel, do you see yourself like, dang, I could really put a Closet Freaks over here, or I can put one over here, or maybe I should think about expanding over here? Does that ever float through your mind?
I'm usually only traveling because that's the conversation that's being brought up, and so
So you having meetings with these peoples when you go into these places to see?
Time.
That's what it's
Every
about.
Time.
Anything fell through yet?
I mean, yes.
Anything coming? What we got? Let's hear.
It's not. I mean, we're not gonna break it here.
Okay. If it ain't okay, until it's in stone.
We'll let New York Times break it. I mean,
y'all hear that?
I'm kidding.
Y'all hear that?
I'm kidding.
New York Times.
Yeah, no, I definitely have. See, that's the fun part about this game too. Like, when you're in entertainment, everything is live. Like, you want everybody to see everything right away. Like, you are as strong as your content. In business, you are as strong as your secrets, and as long as you keep, it is very smart to keep a lot of plays under wraps, because you have competitors that will take
try to go for the same thing,
or buy you out, or cut you off, or even though it's a lot of money out here, that's the game that you're always going and trying to fish and beat somebody to the punch. So, yeah, I would never speak out loud. And when I speak about something, it's
New York Times is gonna say it. I get it. They finna say it. You finna wait for the big announcement. I get you.
Well, because that's the way to go about it.
So we have the end of last year, fourth quarter dinner.
Yes.
You had a lot of entrepreneurs in the building. You got them all together in the same room. Let's talk about that and what made you do that.
Yeah, so that's my second annual fourth quarter dinner.
Second annual.
The first one I did at my house the year before.
Okay.
Same time frame. And it's something that
Doing it this year?
Am I going to do it this year?
Are you doing it every year?
I mean, that's the plan for annual.
Okay.
It'll be every year.
Okay.
But it's something it's a side project that I started, and it was kind of about using my network to privately expand just people that I know opportunity, and to take up basically an intimate setting and allow people to meet each other in ways that would allow the guard to be down, so that you don't have to be political about meeting somebody.
Right.
Like, that's why I did it in my home the first year, because it was very comfortable, and it kind of cut out all the BS of meeting a person. So
with all the music and this, you can actually have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and then you don't have to like prop up who you are, because you're already like edified to be there. You were invited, and everyone has known since the last one that it is, you know, invited. I do curate the list. It takes a while,
right?
And it's a growing thing that is gonna take work as it expands. Mm-hmm. But it really does. I created it to motivate, because I already do a thing going into the fourth quarter. So like, that was always something that I did. It wasn't a dinner, but just like, I switch energies, because I don't get started for the next year on January 1st. Like,
no, that's too late.
I get started in October.
Right.
And especially because in business quarterly, you are prepping for your budget and everything the quarter before. I mean, at least I'm hoping, depending on what business you're in. So I just kind of use it to kind of motivate everybody to get on whatever their mood and their vibe is. Also to push through the year that just passed, or that is passing, and so that you're not waiting until the time changes for the energy to shift. And what I did notice from a lot of the conversation from the first dinner was that people spearheaded into the year on a whole nother wavelength about the things that they were going to accomplish, and the pandemic kind of didn't matter in a sense. Like, it happened, but you were already like onto your second quarter by the first.
You were ahead of the
right. And so similarly with the last one, it just is a good energy fixer. So I'm just taking little parts of it and seeing how I want to expand it, and like how I want to continue it and grow it, because I do want to grow it, but it's also like, you also want it to be intimate.
Yeah. I'm thinking about something like that too. Once I get this thing popping, you know, you can invite everybody that you've interviewed, all the business owners, to come back together.
Yeah.
You know? I think that was a good, I think Orlando needed that.
You think so?
I know so.
Because I plan to snatch it out of Orlando.
I mean,
okay.
And if people in Orlando can travel to the new location, they can do that.
Well, the irony is, and like last time, I always invite people nationwide. Like, there was only probably like a small handful of people there from Orlando. Everyone else flew in for it. So I don't just do it like as a social gathering. Right. People had flights, and they were coming in that day, and even if it was just for that night or that day to be a part of it, I was kind of looking to curate the room that way. So that's kind of going to be the struggle moving forward. Like, if we do something where we expand it and we want everybody to fly in, what's the best place to fly in for a day? You know, that's going to be central enough. So,
for everybody to show up.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you doing really good at what you're doing.
Well, thank you, sir.
I'm here to give you your flowers while you're here. So,
well, you're doing a fantastic job as
beautiful.
Well.
You how long has Juju been with you? She's in the background. People don't see her right now, but how long has she been with you?
A couple stores for sure.
Okay, how long is that?
Over a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Okay. Moving on up. That's part of that. What you said, internal group or something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
That's your sister. Nah, but I wanted to let you know you're doing real good. Where can they find Closet Freaks?
Today or tomorrow, because it may change. Okay. So this location will be here. This location, as far as Orlando's concerned, will be here. I mean,
now let the fans know where you at. Where we at?
So we're in Waterford Lakes, over in East Orlando, in the shopping plaza where Target is, and TJ Maxx, and Best Buy, and all the big hitters.
But it's about Closet Freaks right now, so you know where you at.
I just want them to know who we. You know, this ain't nothing small time. You know, we with the big dogs over here.
Okay.
So we're over here in Waterford Lakes, and you can find us online at shopclosetfreaks.com.
Okay, any social media want to let people know? Closet Freaks, your Instagram, anything like that?
Closet Freaks on everything.
Closet Freaks on everything.
Yes.
Well, Ashley, it was nice talking to you. It's all about the journey. Thank you so much, E.T.
Thank you for having me.
Joe, Juju, shout out to everybody. Thank you.